what do you believe and why do you believe it? And there's lots of things in the world that we're asked to believe, even though we might not know too much about it. Hello, darling, this is my gorgeous little judo. Sit down. Good girl. Haha, good girl. So as an exercise professional and as a person who owns an education college, I feel a responsibility to ask questions about everything, and particularly about exercise and about food. So one of the things one of the processes that I put my own headspace through on a regular basis is, why do I believe that? And we all have the right to have an opinion, and we all believe stuff for a certain reason. But my question is always, why? Am I regurgitating somebody else's opinion? Why do I think that? Why do I believe that to be important? So if you look at some of the things in the exercise profession in particular, drink 8 glasses of water, do 10,000 steps, do 3 sets of 10, abs are made in the kitchen, 80% of your results come from food. There's a whole heap of things that we seem to believe to be true. Now, I'm not saying they're not true, but I always ask the question, is that correct? So I use the example, this is just a standard statement. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And often you don't even have to say the whole sentence. You can say breakfast is, and people will say the most important meal of the day. But why is that? So that's just an example. Why would you say that? Why do you think it is? Now, you might have heard from your school teacher, you might have heard from your personal trainer, you might have heard from a social media influencer. But I always then take what we call the devil's advocate. I take the opposite side. What if you don't like to eat in the morning? What if you're not hungry in the morning? What if you're a shift worker and morning for you is 3 o'clock in the afternoon? What if you're an international pilot and your time zones change all the time? When is breakfast for you? And will your body tell you when you're hungry, or should we just eat because it's the morning? And there's lots of reasons why people will tell you that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But there's also a large group of so-called experts, doctors, cardiologists, endocrinologists, urologists, who'll tell you that you need to not eat for many hours, and that you're better off not eating until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So you should skip breakfast, skip lunch, and then eat in the afternoon, or vice versa. You should eat breakfast and then not eat till the next breakfast. So are they right or wrong? And that's the question that I always ask. Where did 10,000 steps come from? And when you go and have a look at where the 10,000 steps story came from, it's not some magical number. When people say 8 glasses of water, I always ask, what size are the glasses? What if they're only little glasses? What if you're a bigger person? What if you're a littler person? What if you sweat more? What if you live in a hot place? I think they're questions that need to be asked rather than just accepting blank statements. So when you apply that to exercise, 3 sets of 10, exercise 3 times a week, you've got to go to the gym for an hour, you've got to do 45-minute classes, rather than just believe all that stuff, why not learn your anatomy and physiology for yourself? Why not find out the energy system? So where does energy come from? What's the best energy system to work in? What do I need to be fit and strong for? How do I get fit? How do I get strong? Rather than just, you need to go to the gym 3 times a week, you need to do 3 sets of 10, and you need to do 45-minute classes. Because there's a lot of questions to be asked about all of those statements, and people argue about all of those statements, which means there are some people that believe them and some people that don't. So rather than just be a regurgitator of other people's opinions, rather than just be a believer of other people's stuff, why not find out for yourself? And the beautiful thing when you learn about how the human body works, there's 2 big bonuses. One is you'll find out exactly whether or not an exercise program and an eating plan will work at all, whether it'll work for you, because there's 3 parts to that. How to get fit, how to get strong, and then will it fit into your lifestyle? So somebody might give you an eating plan or an exercise plan or both, but none of them work for you. It might be filled up with foods that you don't like. It might be filled up with exercise that doesn't suit your time frame, or exercise that you don't like. So it's not going to work for you, even if it's the best program or the best diet in the world. So how do I get fit? How do I get strong? And what's going to fit into my lifestyle? Surely we want to learn that for ourselves rather than rely on some expert. And of course, the reason for not relying on experts is they all disagree. Doesn't matter what you pick, whether it's 3 sets of 10, 1 set to work till you can't do any more, 50 sets of light weights. There's all different arguments. You should eat once a day, 3 times a day, once every 2 days. Lots of different arguments. You need 2 litres of water. You need to drink water out of a Fijian spring. You need to drink purified water. You just need to drink water. Doesn't matter that you don't drink water because you get water from your food. There's so many arguments by the experts. So I don't want to be controlled by the experts. How about you? I want to think for myself, learn for myself, understand for myself, which is what we do at the Max Colleges. I never want to tell people what to think. It's how to think for yourself, and always ask questions. Why would I do that, and how does it work? And if I can't answer that to myself, then as an exercise professional, why would I give that information to somebody else? The ongoing, really important thing there, though, is even if it works for me, and even if it's good for me and I think it's right, is it possible that it won't work for somebody else? And that's the really interesting question that I think should be asked by everybody. If 100 people do the same exercise program and have the same eating plan, will they look the same? Will they have the same amount of muscle? Will they have the same metabolism? Will they have the same amount of body fat? Of course not. Surely just logic will tell you that. We're all different. We all have different likes and dislikes. Just look at food. Some people love that food, and for other people that never put it in their mouth, they hate it. So as an exercise professional, wouldn't it be a really good idea not just to give people your opinion and tell them what you believe, but find out first what they believe and then work out a program that's going to work for them so that they can get fit, they can get strong, and it's going to fit into their lifestyle. And that's a really cool thing about getting fit. You've just got to get puffed. To get strong, you've just got to overload your muscles and bones. Both of those you need to do safely so you don't get injured, otherwise you can't do any of it. And if it doesn't fit into somebody's lifestyle, of course they're not going to do it. So is the program eating and exercise, is it safe, is it effective, and is it fast? And if I can't answer yes to all three of those, then surely I need to ask more questions. And please, my begging position, if you're a parent, a teacher, a coach, a boss, or a leader, would it be a really good idea to set the example that we don't just listen to other people's opinions, we don't just regurgitate what other people say, we don't just believe somebody because they're an expert, so-called. Wouldn't it be good to be a critical thinker, work it out for ourselves, and those two magic questions, why would I do that, and how does it work? Wouldn't it be nice to live your life to the max as a healthy, fit, strong person who knows for yourself what to do? Woohoo!